All right, gang. Good to be with you here this afternoon. Bob Vandy with Advisors Insurance Brokers, New York Long-Term Care Broker. Sarah Phillips from National Life is with us. I'll reintroduce her here momentarily. Before we do that, just a couple of quick housekeeping comments. Um, we recently switched over from our former webinar platform that we had been using to a little bit more of an industry standard here with Zoom. We've been experimenting with a couple of different ones, but we think we've got this one on track. The recording, as you may have heard, is going, so just be aware we've got that going on. We do have the lines muted, but that doesn't mean that Sarah's not going to want your questions. So as we go throughout the session, if you do have a question, I would say go ahead and type those into the Q&A portion of the Zoom. I mean, I think this is probably our millionth Zoom that we've each done, so I'm guessing everybody's got a pretty decent feel for how this platform works. So feel free to type those questions in as Sarah goes through her prepared comments, and then we can always make sure that we address those at the end if she doesn't answer them for you in between. Yes, we do have the recording going, and what we'll do is after the recording is done today, we typically reformat it and we put it up on the archived training page of our website. Our website, if you don't have it, is advisorsib.com. So that's advisors with an ORS at the end, advisorsib.com. And then if you go to resources, tools and resources, you'll find archive training in there, and it's got all of our recently recorded webinars in there. So if you need to bug out and want to revisit it later, or if you're staying for the whole thing and you still want to revisit it later, or you want to share it with a friend, whatever it might be, we've got a pretty good library of content out there. I would encourage you to go check it out, and this too will be added to that here as we finish up today. So Sarah Phillips is with us, and Daniel just, excuse me, Daniel just joined us as well. So we've got two of our colleagues from National Life here with us today. Great to have both of them with us. I think Sarah's going to do most of the driving, and if you're not familiar with National Life, boy, you're in the right place today. They are a force to be reckoned with on both the life and the annuity side of our business, and that's why we asked them to sit in today, because we still get some of that National Life, huh? Yeah, I didn't realize that. Tell us more. And so we thought, what better way to do that than to hear from them directly? And so as a result, we've got both Sarah and Daniel here. So good to have you here with us, Sarah. I'm glad that you didn't have turkey at your holiday party that you're attending. So we know that the tryptophan won't have an adverse effect
Never.
and put you or anybody else to sleep. So good to
Awesome.
have you and Daniel here. Thanks for making some time for us with that. I'm going to go ahead and turn it right over to you. Welcome, and go ahead. The floor is yours.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Bob. Always a pleasure to get in front of you and your lovely team and agents too. So, welcome everybody. First off, happy holidays. Whatever you're celebrating today, I hope you celebrate yourself and your family, and especially celebrate yourself for being on this call. So, we're going to go over some good stuff. And you're absolutely right, Bob. Our CMO, Chief Marketing Officer Matt Frazee, likes to say we're the oldest company that you've never heard of. So let me give you a bit of background on National Life. This November was our 177th anniversary. So if you truly think about it, National Life is older than some of the states in the US. And our history is deep and our history is vast, especially up in Vermont at our home office. I'm based out of our Dallas office. But when you think about 177 years, right? From the Titanic to 9/11. National life is truly ingrained in the fabric of this nation. So it's something that I'm super proud of. A little bit about National Life. We are the third largest mutual company in the nation. And for those unfamiliar with that concept, we're owned by the people, right? We're not a stock owned company. So all of our whole life policy holders have a bit of National Life with them too and own a piece of that business. So moving on to total benefits paid. 3.9 billion in promises kept. Folks, I was fortunate to witness an unfortunate situation, but it instilled national lives and our promises kept. So I was with another agent, part of her downline. A gentleman was 31 years old and had passed away. His mother received over $1 million from National Life and a death benefit. That policy was fresh, and the agent had only paid in about a little over $600 on himself, and we still paid out that promise. And for the naysayers or for the new folks in the industry, it can be a very, very shocking concept. someone pays only 600 and change, yet their beneficiary gets over $1 million. So truly what we're known for is being a part of those communities that we live in, going with them on their day to day and keeping our promises, not to mention our philanthropy side. So, National Life is super big on giving back to the community via several different events, one of them being our Do Good Fest. So, it's a charitable concert held in Dallas and in Vermont every year, and we raise tons and tons of money. I want to say last year was $100,000 to children's mental health for Parkland. Hospital here in the Dallas area. And if you're familiar with Vermont and the unfortunate floods and weather they've had around that season in July, definitely donated back to those communities as well. So, third largest mutual company. We're the seventh largest insurance or ranked seventh insurance company, so, sooner than later, encroaching on number six. And our CEO and coach Mayron knows that we want to be that top three, and that is in our vision. 2 million satisfied customers. Why not three? Why not 5 million satisfied customers, right? So while I'm inside of here, I want to also focus on our ratings. So we are A rated across the board from your three top raters too as well. So A plus for AM Best, A plus also for S&P, and then we have an A1 from Moody's as well. So you think about, what do you want in an insurance company? It's also, what does your client look for in the insurance company that they're wanting that peace of mind from, right? That they're giving those premiums to. What are you looking for? And for me, National Life has always been the forefront of those designs. So a little bit about myself, guys. I was a chef for 15 years before I joined financial services. And the reason being I joined that is I saw one of the smartest people, my mother and my father. So my father being an MIT grad with 4 master's degrees in computer technology. But guess what? He didn't have the smarts about financial freedom. There was no financial literacy. He could build a computer in his sleep, but I'll be darned if he didn't know how to navigate a 401k or any sort of retirement or life insurance policy. He was enlisted in the Marine Corps for about 25 years, so they kind of covered those things. But when he retired from the Marine Corps, it wasn't a retirement with dignity. So my mission is to help other families, regardless of your income level, to have that retirement and to be able to retire with dignity. That's the biggest thing, whether it be a legacy play, retiring with dignity, or just simply wanting some coverage for the assets that you have because you don't want to leave them to your family. Okay. So let's kind of go over a couple of different things here. I'm going to back out of this page. And if you're unfamiliar, this is an excellent, excellent part of the website, and it is just nationallife.com. So if I go to, this is where you would log in as an agent. But guess what? It's open to the public. So when anybody ever asks from a client perspective, well, tell me about National Life. It's always great to know those things at the top of your head, but referring them to something like nationallife.com, where you have our story and our business. And what I just showed you is going to be our history and our financials. So our history is one of the interesting pieces of National Life. So starting off from 1848, when we were founded, all the way up into the present. So you can literally click on all these timelines and then view the events that happened in that timeline and how National Life was making an impact, even all the way back then. And you hear a lot of companies, they'll combine their years of service between how many execs they have and say, we have a total combined amount of service years. But to be around truly for 177 years as a sole company, it's pretty amazing stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and back out of here. I'm going to take you guys into your agent portal, and we're going to go over our suite of life and annuity products. Okay, so just like you guys do, log in as an agent. I'm going to go in our back way here. Perfect. So if it's not already, this portal should be your best friend when it comes to navigating your own business, keeping track of your clients. all of those lovely, lovely types of things. So, first thing I want to mention while you're inside your portal, this is a great training tool. If you're training your downline on how to navigate, but guess what? You don't want them to see all of your pertinent information. There's a hide data button up here at the right. Go ahead and click that on, and it's going to sort of X out all of your personal information. Okay. Now, one thing I love is going into forms and materials. And this is where you can order any copy of an app, brochure, or flyer. You could actually order up to 50 copies of each item at one time, free of shipping, standard. Okay. And if that's giving me some issues, we're going to go down here. More than one way to get inside. So order forms and materials, I'm going to go over our annuity suite first, and then I'll jump into our life side. So flexible premium, single premium, and then we have our MIGAs, our multi-year guaranteed annuities. So what I want to do is I'll do our flexible premium first. So I'll do FPDA and enter, and I'm going to go down and I'm going to select brochure and flyer. So this is going to bring up everything for our flexible premiums. But one thing that I love is this flexible premium comparison guide. So when I click on this, super simple, 3 products, 2 for growth, 1 for income. The durations are as follows. So Flex Secure Growth, we offer a 5, 7, or 10-year surrender period. All the annuities will annuitize at age 100, regardless of that surrender period. Issue ages 0 to 85. No guaranteed lifetime income because, again, it is just solely a growth product. Flex Secure Growth bonus 10, and we'll get into some maybe some illustration concepts here in just a moment. But the differences of the two, one with the bonus, one without. So what stage of life is your client truly in? That's what you want to pay attention to. One of them will provide you with higher accumulation value in those early years of the policy, roughly, 1 through 10. The other one is going to be good for longevity, giving you higher caps and pars. So when you see or hear the word bonus, I don't always focus on that aspect. I just say what stage or what walk of life my client's in. And then finally, for the income side, Flex Select Income. So this is 18 to 75. It has 2 types of GLIRs. So if you're familiar with guaranteed lifetime income, we have a split and a max bonus. Both of these having a 1% annual charge. So with that max bonus GLIR, it's going to be a 5%, up to 200% activation bonus for that product. So the longer you wait to activate, the larger that bonus becomes. The other option is for someone that wants a boost for accumulation and they want a boost in their benefit base. It's the split bonus. So this one is going to be a 5% premium bonus for every deposit for the first 8 years of that policy. The other part of that bonus is to your benefit base. The longer you wait to activate, again, the larger that bonus is going to become, and that side will cap off at 175%. So someone truly sees the vision. They're young, they're maybe 30 or 40. This might be that product for them if they are wanting to put that 1% away because they want to build that income base. Now, coming down a little further, the reason why I love these comparison flyers is because all the pertinent information is laid out for you when it comes to bonus, no bonus, does it have a GLIR option? And the most important, I think, is your plan options or your plan qualifications. Don't get hung up on these so much. We do have a rollover chart that'll show you what plan qualification can fit into others and vice versa. So that's also available, and I can shoot that out to the group as well. Now, rate boosters when it comes to indices, your free withdrawal, you still have access to 10% of that accumulation value after that first policy year, okay, as permitted by law. All right, going down a little bit further, this is going to explain the GLIR bonuses and kind of show you what I mean by the max bonus versus the split. And the longer you wait, that bonus becomes greater and greater. Okay, so I want to stop here. Any questions on flexible premium? Any questions on National Life, our ratings, our history?
Sarah, I don't see anything yet.
Perfect, perfect. All right, keep it moving. So flexible premium, two for growth, two for income. Two for growth, one for income. Where are these applying? So we have markets like your SEP and Simple and your 403B, which, believe it or not, we have a whole team called Retirement Services that help you navigate through your nonprofit organizations, your religious groups, right? Your school districts, anything that has to do with, sort of a payroll deducted type of scenario. Now, there's a ton of states now that are requiring state mandated retirement vehicles. Virginia was the next one on the list. So starting in 26, they're going to start at their state mandated. Get ahead of that curve. National Life has several marketing materials comparing state offered programs versus what National Life has to offer. So, for instance, the state of Illinois, we have one for California, we have one for Florida, and a handful of others, and we are rolling those out slowly but surely. But in essence, offering a retirement vehicle to your employees, whether it be a state mandate or not, is always going to be, an amazing idea. And if you ever want to go over some concepts, that's why I'm here. That's why that department is here as well. So definitely getting ahead of that curve and just having a full support team that knows the ins and outs of how to navigate those school districts. And I know I'm in Texas, you guys are in New York. When I blink, it's not just another school, it's another school district. So if I truly had someone to help me lock down that school, so where I could be the sole provider of that annuity business, is really something special that we have to offer. All right. So for FPDA, let's switch on over to single premium, SPDA. Same thing, hit enter, and flyer and brochure. So go ahead and scroll down. This one will have the same type of comparison guide. Okay, so let's go SB decision tree. There we go. Which one is the right choice for your client? So it looks very similar to the other. So we have two for growth and two for income on this side. Very similar names. Zenith Growth, Zenith Income. Income driver, growth driver. When you think of those two names, think of driver as sort of the immediate gratification, right? You're wanting whatever the result is sooner than later. When you think of Zenith, it's going to be for the latter part, right? The longevity, the long term. So when we break these down into those categories, the two growth products, Zenith Growth, 0 to 85, just accumulation value and maximizing growth potential. But here with Growth Driver, you're going to notice a bonus. So 10% bonus for that 10-year surrender and a 7% bonus on that 7-year surrender. So why would you choose one over the other? Well, very similarly to the flexible premium side, is your client young and they want later income? I'm talking they're in their 30s, their 40s, maybe even 50s, and they're not going to want to touch that money or income maybe for about 10 to 15 years. I would position that person inside of a Zenith product versus the Growth Driver. Okay, Growth Driver does offer you that bonus, but again, where's your client at? If I'm 55 and I said, you know what, maybe in 5 years on my 60th birthday, I want to take some money out and buy a boat, right? Or I want to do a remodel on my house, or maybe fix up a classic car, which is an example one of our home office employees used, taking a withdrawal of an annuity. So it all depends on what walk of life they're at. If they wanted that little bit of boost to the sooner accumulation value to do those types of things, then definitely that bonus and Growth Driver could be something to take advantage of. Now, for the income side, just like on our flexible premium, with our Zenith Income, you have a split and max bonus GLIR. Max, all that goes towards your benefit base, 5% premium bonus, activation bonus for the split GLIR. Okay. And that bonus is the same as the flex. So up to 200% on that activation. So again, the longer you wait, the larger that percentage becomes. Now for income driver, this tends to be our most popular single premium annuity. And the reason being, it offers your client a 25% immediate bonus to the benefit base. And if I didn't mention it, I'm doing it now. You can start taking income with our single premiums in 30 days. So it truly is one of the more seamless transition products for someone who is at the cusp or on the cusp of retirement. So get the policy going within 30 days. They requested that activation of that Glear, and they're going to receive that money in 30 days. So some pretty cool stuff. So literally, your client drops you 100,000, they're getting an immediate $25,000 bonus on that benefit base. Now, it doesn't go to cash value, solely applies for that Glear to determine that income. Same plan qualifications as our flexibles. Keep in mind, again, retirement services with our flexible premiums. Anything that comes along with maybe a nonprofit or, like I mentioned, religious organization, and they're on the single premium side, still reach out to myself or Daniel, and if need be, we can connect you with those folks as well. Okay. Alrighty. Any questions on our single premium? I don't see anything in the chat. If not, we are going to plug on forward to the MIGA side. All right. So MIGAs are neat. I love them because it's a guaranteed fixed rate for that 3 or 5 year period that you're getting that policy. So when we talk about what we have to offer, Retire Max Secure, this is going to be outside of New York. You guys are going to have Green Mountain. Okay. Let's type in the letter green and we'll do brochure and flyer. Now, unless you guys are finding a Nexus in Delaware or outside of New York, this is going to be the product for you, or products for you as far as the annuity side goes. Okay?
Sarah, just so you know, well, we do business throughout the country. It just happens
Perfect.
that we're based in New
The
York,
base shop.
and New York is our biggest state, but we
Yeah.
do a lot of business outside of New York, just so you know.
Yes. And Daniel, correct me if I'm wrong. I think we're one of the only companies that offer annuities in New York space too. So especially on the flexible side. So it really just gives us that competitive advantage, and we never want to leave anybody out. Obviously, that's the tricky part when it comes to life and annuities. We could make our regulations and our products, but your state has to approve those, just like ABRs and riders. So very, very good point. All right. So essentially, let's go back over to the other MIGA, and we will do super easy. So with our MIGAs, we offer with an MVA and without an MVA, market value adjustment. Well, what does that mean? So if you buy a house today for 300,000, in 30 years, it's not going to be worth 300,000, right? So the key of it is to think about that MVA. You got a 3 or 5 year period of a fixed rate. If you're not going to back out of that product within that 3 to 5 year period, choose the MVA. Why? It's going to give you a higher interest rate. Okay, it's a checks and balances system. If you're not choosing the MVA, National Life says, well, we need to cover some of that risk in case you decide to back out. That's why that interest rate is going to be a bit lower too. But it's a simple calculation on a 5% interest rate. This is what your client puts in year 5. That would be the amount at the end of it too. And the renewal rates are also competitively strong on that point. So let's go ahead and back out of here. And I want to talk about our life side. IUL has been our bread and butter for quite some time. So much so that we did just revamp our Flex Life at the end of October, along with launching a newer product. So with our Flex Life, high cash value accumulation possibilities, downside potential. Okay, zero is going to be your hero, just like the annuity side. So with our Flex Life, having the options and the additional riders that we have to offer make it really unique. And one of them that I love telling a story about is our beneficiary insurance option. What the heck is that? Well, Brittany Russo, who's a senior director here at National Life Group, joined the industry in her early 20s. She got her first life insurance policy and made her younger sister the beneficiary. So she's super excited, and she comes home and says to her younger sister, you know what? I did a thing today. I bought my first life insurance policy and I made you the beneficiary. Well, her younger sister gets really excited and says, oh my gosh, I've always wanted a Jeep. Brittany goes, well, I have to die first before you get to buy that Jeep. So our beneficiary insurance option is something that is designed for, you have a loved one who's maybe not so responsible with finances, or they just happen to be super young, right? You could pay them a lump sum in the initials after you're gone, taking care of the expenses and making sure that they're taken care of. But then you could also spread that out up to 30 years of a payment too. So even after you're gone, you're still taking care of your loved ones and ensuring that that money doesn't go to waste, so to speak, right? Now, with our full chassis of living benefits, our terminal illness, chronic illness, critical illness, critical injury, and then something that's dear to my heart is our Lewy Body Alzheimer's Dementia Rider. We launched this about 2.5, 3 years ago. At the same time, my mother was also diagnosed with dementia as well. So this rider pays up to 1.5 million of that accelerated death benefit based on your death benefit, but it's something that we just do to go the extra mile. Now, people reference other forms of dementia or Alzheimer's. Generally, that's going to be covered in your chronic illness section. Okay. Not to mention our fertility journey rider. So this is something a little different. So you or your partner are having some difficulties trying to conceive. This will be a 3-month policy credit towards your policy. So it's not an acceleration of your death benefit. It's not a dollar for dollar. It is literally just a premium credit to your account. Now, when we revamped our Flex Life at the end of October, we added something kind of cool, the Premium Chronic Care Rider. So this is a true dollar for dollar cost rider. This one has the potential, it caps off at 3 million. So if someone truly had a death benefit of 3 million, they could possibly accelerate the entirety of that. So how does the payout work? So at issue, the client's going to choose either 2 or 4% of that acceleration on a monthly basis. One thing that I want to point out is that when you look at the illustration report, you'll see chronic illness and then you'll see premium chronic care. That premium chronic care, due to it being a true dollar for dollar cost rider, we are capping at that per diem limit, which right now it's about 153,300 and change. Okay. So when you look at the illustration report, we don't cap the per diem limit on the chronic illness. We only cap it on the PCC. So we will pay you that full extent, and it could be longer than 50 months. But if you're not receiving that, that's a good thing because you didn't qualify for it every year. Okay. So you have to still qualify for that product or for that rider every year. Okay. So let's go. And it is still on MIGA, guys. I didn't want to pull up a PowerPoint for the life side. It would take up way too much of the time too. So and we could always do that on a deep dive as well. Now, Flex Life, new riders, increased target roughly around 20% for you guys without negating that protection and peace of mind for the client as well. Okay. One thing that we also added is a brand new concept for National Life. It's called Rapid Protect. So this is our instant decision product. Folks, there's only 17 health questions on here. So if you're in the space of collateral assignment, real estate, health insurance, extra 10 minutes and your policy is already completed, right? Now, a couple things with this. You're capped off at a $500,000 death benefit. Issue ages are 0 to 60, which is kind of cool. Most carriers that offer instant decision don't offer it in that juvenile space, which is kind of nice. Okay. For us, though, it was really important to make sure that we get this across. So you are limited on your rate classes. Let's say that someone qualifies for life insurance, but not for Rapid Protect. Maybe they got an Express Standard 2. Okay. You could only go Express Standard on this one, not a number 2. So they don't qualify for Rapid Protect. It doesn't mean that they're declined altogether. You would just pivot to another permanent product or even a term. Okay. On the note of life insurance, one thing that we are changing here soon, but it is worth mentioning, is our easy underwriting program, right? Who likes parameds, fluids, or exams? I don't. Okay. As long as that person has had their age appropriate physical or visit with a doctor in the past 12 months, not necessarily calendar year, but the 12 months, then they can qualify for the easy underwriting. So ages 18 to 50 is going to be up to 3 million on all permanent products and up to 2 million for term. Ages 51 to 60 is going to be up to 1 million across the board. And then 61 to 65 is 250,000. Okay. And you'll notice these two products here, Summit and Peak Life, These are our IUL offerings, but this one is going to be for the overfunded policy. Okay. The more whale clients, the ones that maybe a more, affluent or someone that just got a settlement. The basis of these for a face amount is going to be 1 million. So they do have some enhancers and riders on there that do boost up that accumulation value if funded properly. Summit Life is everybody else, all the other 49 states. Peak Life is going to be for New York. So if you do have a client that is in a need or a space of 1 million plus in death benefit, then Peak Life could be the option for you folks in New York. Okay. Now, with the rate classes available, Elite, Preferred, Select, and Standard, which is kind of cool for easy underwriting, but expressing that they've had that age appropriate physical. So, what do I mean by age appropriate? I'm coming up to 40. Okay, mammograms are due. Certain ages require certain things, right? And believe it or not, some of those ages are getting even sooner nowadays. So, always being seen by a U.S. doctor on U.S. soil within the past 12 months and getting that age appropriate stuff taken care of. Now, Total Secure is our whole life. We have, if not the most flexible whole life on the market. It's a beast of a product. If funded properly and designed correctly, I love it for guarantees. In fact, a big block of that whole life business is done on juveniles with the wonderful grandparents or the aunt and uncle that want to provide that peace of mind. And they say, look, I want to pay a policy up in 10, 15, 20 years. I don't want to worry about it. I want to set it and forget it. That's where whole life comes into play with the strong guarantees of that death benefit. Okay. More than one way to design that product. When the bridge comes, we'll definitely cross it together. And then Basic Secure. Basic Secure is our fixed UL product. So some pretty strong rates right now. We're at a 4.9, I know, in the state of New York, and I want to say all the others are, if not the same, if not right there as well too. So a bit of a fixed rate, maybe for that client who doesn't necessarily want to be based off market performance. And this is something that could be useful for them. And they want something a bit more cost effective than paying for the guarantees of a whole life. And then last but not least, certainly is our term. I love our term, folks. It has the same full chassis of living benefits as our permanent products. And I love to use it in cases like estate planning, where, part of it's going toward a permanent product and then you still have your term. You still get to accelerate living benefits if you need to out of that term product, but you're leaving your cash growth alone in your permanent policy. So, some pretty cool stuff on the term side. Now, durations 10, 20, 30. Okay. And then we have our ART. Now, ART, annually renewable term. If it ever comes up, I've seen it a handful of times. It's literally just a 1 year term. That premium is going to go up every year after that. With our term conversion privileges, absolutely outstanding. So as long as the client stays at the same face amount or under, they have guaranteed insurability. So if you have that 18-year-old health nut client who's getting that elite rating, you know, 30 years past, they're coming up, or 25 years past, they're coming up on renewal, and they have a heart attack or some sort of event happens to them, they're still getting that elite rating that they had when they were 18 years old. Not only is it a great tack on, like we talked about, for estate planning, combo sales, but it's also a great way to get someone who's super young in the door. Right. With those cost effective premiums, you're still providing that peace of mind. And it's a great way for you as an agent to reach back out, do those follow ups, and talk about those conversion privileges. So, some good, amazing stuff on that side. Well, life and annuity, besides actually going into illustration training and doing some real good case design, I think this is a great level ground for you folks to sort of pick back up and get going again, especially with National Life. So anything you guys have or questions or anything, Bob, you want me to go over?
I'm looking real quick. I don't see any questions online other than Shelley
Perfect.
pointed out when you were on the MIGA
Yeah.
screen. Can you talk about the conversion options, Sarah, that are available on the term product? Because one of the things I want to reinforce about what you said is that National Life is kind of unique in that your term product has those living benefit riders. You're one of, boy, if Gary or Mike or Randy were here, they could probably tell me better, but I think you might be the only carrier. Maybe there's one other carrier that has living benefit riders on term in the
Yes,
state of New York specifically. But
specifically New
so,
York. Yep,
yeah, so
it's a
those of you
very,
in New
very
York
few
can
and far
kind of,
between.
but
Yeah,
what about
definitely.
conversion? What about conversion?
So you can convert into any of our permanent products except for the Rapid Protect because it was that instant issue. And like the example I gave, it's limited on your rate classes, doesn't have elite on there. So any other permanent product besides our instant decision, they can go into, which is really awesome. And you don't have to convert the full or entirety of your term. You can do a partial. And at that time, we get with our in-force folks and then run your illustration or tell you what your existing premium would be left over on that term. Generally, it is the same percentage subtracted from your death benefit that would be subtracted from that premium as well. So some pretty cool stuff. Now, on the conversion privilege side, 30 years, you got 25 years to convert. 20 years, you got 15. Our 15-year term, you have 12, and then the 10 you get the full 10 to convert. So good
That's
stuff on
that's
there.
that's that's pretty good. And the case that I would make, or the suggestion I would give to you as agents and advisors out there, is sometimes with term insurance, it's really quick to just gravitate to give me the cheapest thing. And sometimes that's valid. If there's a specific need that is not going to change over the length of the term period, okay, well, maybe you can go that route. But I think for a lot of people, a lot of advisors will gravitate to the cheapest initial choice and maybe give short shrift to maybe spending 5% or 10% more and have some of these other convertibility benefits, have some of these living benefits that those other products don't have. So I would encourage everybody to look closely at National Life for that reason, because that's a nice benefit to have, the ability to do partials, the
Yes,
convertibility out for a majority or all of the length of the term period. Some of those other carriers and products don't have that. So,
right.
the team will tell you that, when you call in and you ask them, well, which one do you think is the best option here? They'll talk about stuff like that. But, when talking to Gary, when talking to Mike, when talking to Randy, Richard, whoever it might be, when you bring that up, look very closely at that. So,
Yep, absolutely. As an agent, your job is sort of like being Picasso. You're painting pictures. You want to paint the vision for your client's future. And with that term, you can say, look, you're getting cost effective coverage now. You're bringing peace of mind to your family, but let's convert this later on and let's show you what it looks like. So one of my favorite, storyboards, so to speak, is walking through that. You're bringing over that excellent rating. I love to do it with younger clients and I take it over and I'll even say, hey, in 30 years, this is what your cash growth could look like if you turn on some income, right? Giving them the sense of urgency and really just making them excited because guess what? You're excited. How cliche is it? But it's true. You got to be excited with your clients because that energy is infectious, right? And they'll feel it. So for me, going through all the different avenues, I hate saying no. And that's why it's so cool to be cross trained with life and annuity because if you get a client that is declined, God bless those folks with a series license on the way to do it, but you don't have to have an additional license to sell our annuities. They're not variable. So the transition from decline to offering something is going to be super easy. They already have the premium for that life policy, just pivot over to a different direction. And knowing both of those sides is really great. And that's why Daniel and myself, especially, are here to help you navigate the both sides because it really can help you get a full piece of that pie, not just the slice. So it's some good stuff.
great. Thanks for that. Last chance, gang. If you do have questions, type them into the Q&A portion or the chat portion of the Zoom here as we get ready to wrap up. While we're waiting for any final questions, Sarah, I'll give you and or Daniel the floor. Any final things that you want to mention before we wrap up?
Partnership. When I was an agent, I've been an agent a little over 7 years now. Recruiting or die, right? Super important. But that's one piece of the puzzle. If you don't know your products and you can't build relationships and you can't start a conversation, it's going to be really hard to be successful, right? So going out there and knowing that you have a team available, myself, even if it's late at night, I say this and my door is always open, but send me an email, right? I love geeking out over illustrations and sales concepts because at the end of the day, I think about that one person who's now more financially stable. They have more peace of mind. And guess what? There's less road rage, right? There's less crime. You're helping that community just become more financially stable, freedom, retire with dignity, and it works out for everybody. That's one of the things I love about this industry. It's really community driven. And the more we spread that financial literacy piece, the better off everyone's going to be.
You got road rage in Dallas? I can't believe that.
Who would have thunk, right?
Yeah. All right.
Absolutely.
Looks like no other questions. Daniel, did you want to chime in or are you good to go? If you're still with us. I see you're on the screen, but
I think Daniel had the turkey.
No, I was listening to you guys, and no, I think that this is a great starting point for everything that we're doing. We want to reiterate to you guys that we're here to support your business in whichever way we can on either side of the house, life or annuities. We love this relationship that we are building with Bob and LTC there. So by all means, keep us busy. We're here to help and anything that we can do. We look forward to a fantastic 2026 with you guys.
thanks, Daniel. And we look forward to taking you up on that. Where this won't be the last you hear from our friends from National Life. They have been very open about wanting to be that active partner with us, and we want to tap them on the shoulder and get their expertise on a lot of these things. So stay tuned as we start to map things out in 2026. You're going to hear more from them. So looks like no other questions, Sarah. So you must have done a great job of covering everything. Thank you guys both so much for being here. We appreciate you carving out some time. We'll be in touch, obviously, between us and you in terms of, again, mapping out some of the things that we think might be effective to bring to the agents and advisors as we roll into 2026. Have a great holiday, both of you, as well as all of you in attendance today. With that, I think I'll wrap it up and just say thanks again. And everybody, have a great holiday. Have a great rest of your week. And we'll look forward to catching up soon. Thanks, Sarah.
Alrighty,
Thanks,
guys.
Daniel.
You're welcome. Have a
Thanks,
blessed week, y'all.
everyone.
Happy holidays.